We are at war.
When they got up this morning, they did not plan to die this day. But let them dignity of death.
Who wants to die?
Check it out now, Funk Soul Brother. Right about now, Funk Soul Brother. Check it
out. All right. I had to throw in that extra one for Mikey because I know he's a big fan of that one.
Man. Fat Boy Slim and Blur.
That's the KROQ special for all you cats who know about KROQ back in when they used to play. Yeah, too bad they're no longer. But welcome to Lords of the Boombox, where we're just going to talk about music.
Hey, let's get Richard Blake on here now. Come on.
Wrong episode. So for those who don't know, Mikey and I are working on a new show where we're just going to talk about music. Yeah. I've reached out to Robert Meyer Burnett, who is a big music head from SoCal as well. And Mikey even talked, I believe, to Richard Blade.
Yeah, I'm planning on a bunch of guests to show up. If you're a K-Rock fan, you're going to see a lot of memories from your childhood and teenage years on this new show, because I have a lot of connections in the music world. So
yeah, especially Mikey is mostly more into the what we used to call modern rock, which then it turned into alternative, but basically synth pop, anything like that, and then grunge kind of destroyed it all. I hate to say it, but it's the truth. I mean, synth pop, all that. But at one point, K-Rock was the worldwide leader, and then sadly Kevin and Bean left, and then now...
Oh my God, the ratings now are trash.
They're not even the number one alternative station in L.A. anymore.
They're not even in the top 10 anymore. That's how
sad, yeah.
Bad they fall. Like,
so
holy
sad.
crap. How can you... Yeah. Decades of work is down the drain, man.
Yeah. For those in the Bay Area, I grew up on a station called Live 105 with Steve Masters, which was the equivalent of K-Rock.
They were awesome.
And they used to play a lot of, like, Depeche Mode, New Order, Pet Shop Boys, all that really crazy synth pop stuff that was big in the 80s that you didn't really hear mainstream, and then became mainstream. So anyway, we digress.
We'll get Steve Masters on the show, man.
Yeah, Mikey, how's it going?
Hey, it's great to be back, guys. Before I forget, I want to give a shout out to Small Screen. They're trying to get 1,000 subscribers. I think they're about almost less than 100 away.
Yeah, let me drop the. I was on that. I popped in and invaded that show on what day was that?
That was hilarious. Was that Friday, right? Friday. That was hilarious.
It was Friday. It was just Edward. For those who don't know, I was on. Edward's been on my show before, where we just talked about some stuff, and then we formed the Super Team Megaforce. And then it's all kind of way. It's hard to get 4 or 5 people on a show
Yeah.
at any given time. So I
We
popped
are
in.
reuniting. We're gonna reunite Saturday. So
Yeah.
should be
I
pretty
popped
good.
in via Ryan Poole Deadpool style and thought it was like the X-Men reunion that Deadpool did. I reached out to James. Hey, James, send me the link so I can just pop in. No one knew. Mikey didn't know. Edward didn't know. I just popped in. Then Sil popped in. And then some other cats popped in. It was a fun time. But there's the link in the live chat.
It was insane.
Yeah, give Edward. He has a lot of scoops too. So make sure you check it out. The link is in there. Get him to 1,000 subs. Really cool guys. They're friends of the channel. So whatever they say, we agree with them for the most part, except for James.
Yeah.
James says some stupid shit like Star Trek. But shout out to James if you're watching. I know James is watching right. He's gonna be blowing up my thing in a second. What did you say about me? But he's Canadian, so he'll be polite about his insults. So. Boys and girls, this is Letters of the Long Box, episode 30. I do believe that is an anniversary issue, kind of, maybe. I mean, it's been the last time we did this. Wasn't really Letters of the Long Box. It was a drunken long-term spec list with
That
That was epic. Me and Darkside Jedi took a shot every time Mikey did cannonballs, and we were live from KRS Comics. Speaking of which, this show is sponsored by our friends at KRSComics.com. Go to KRS Comics or KRSPoolbox.com. You can use the discount code of LOTLB to get 15% off any KRS Comics exclusives. This is the first time in a long time where they hadn't dropped any exclusives during the week, but they did drop KRS mystery boxes that are super cool. Go peep them out. And guess what? Your Lords of Longbox discount works on there too. So for $100 for a COA box, you get 2 COA comics and 2 unsigned comics. For $150, you get a CGC slab and 2 unsigned comics. So there you go. You can save yourself 15% off either of those by using the discount code of LOTLB on our friends over at KRSComics.com. If you have any questions in the live chat, please hold off till we answer our the formed questions we have already. Some are a couple of months old, by the way.
Yeah, I know. I feel like
we,
when Kevin Smith writes a comic book, it takes like years before the next issue comes out.
Exactly.
It's like,
so we're gonna do some of these, and there's not a ton of questions. Then we have a long-term spec list, and I can tell you what they are now, since you guys have joined in. But the first one is going to be for a Werewolf by Night show, and the other one is going to be for an Echo show. Shouldn't be no surprise that they're going to spin off Echo from. Why does my camera look quick? There you go. Anyway, Echo show from Hawkeye. Can't wait to see that, man. But
speaking of Disney Plus shows, TiVo, for some reason, Moon Knight versus Daredevil showed up on somebody else's top 10, and I'm like, wonder how that got there.
You mean that the annual book that I told everybody about 8 months ago?
No, that's different. No, this is Daredevil versus Moon Knight, which was my scoop from a month or two ago. All of a sudden, people are buying it up for some reason. And no explanation why.
You know what? You got to pay attention to these long-term spec lists. People used to laugh at us, but when they pop, they pop. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, like a Thrawn,
I will tell you, this list is, at least for the Werewolf by Night one, is super, super obscure. The ones for Echo are pretty easy, and some of them are pretty pricey. So use your imagination when you look at some of these and say, if I can't get the first appearance, maybe I'll get the first meeting. We're big proponents of comics characters meeting the first time in comics, but we'll get to that as soon as we get to the letters. So let's get right to it. Our first question comes from Alex Zimmer. So is this whole thing, I love how he starts the question with a so is this whole thing with Scarlett Johansson suing Disney going to prevent any chances of her doing any more MCU films, Mikey?
No, not at all. In fact, they're going to settle out of court like I scooped, and they're going to go through arbitration. The problem here is Bob Chapek. He's really the issue here. And I don't even think he'll last there. I think his contract runs out 2023, I believe, or something like that. He might even last that long. He's causing so many issues there. And people are worried that Feige is going to leave. Listen, Disney would not let go of Feige if his life depended on it. I mean,
no.
They're going to hold him hostage if to keep him there. They're going to get rid of Chapek. They're going to throw Chapek out the window just to keep Feige,
Yeah, so for those who don't know, Chapek came from the resort side of the house.
Yeah.
He was head of like Disneyland resorts and everything. And then, obviously Iger has an entertainment background. And recently I retweeted it on my Twitter feed, that Simu Liu was upset because, they were talking about the Shang-Chi film and, this, that, and the other, and during an investor call, and Chapek said, yeah, the Shang-Chi film is an experiment for us. And if you read between the lines or parse what he's trying to say, it was because of the 45-day theatrical window is what he was referring to. But the guy doesn't know how to speak to people. So it made it sound like, Shang-Chi is an experimental film for us because, we have a mostly Asian cast, and that's why you know what I mean? So it rubs Simu Liu. You don't want to rub your new actor, especially especially with all the stuff that's going on with Scarlett Johansson and everything else. But I'm with you, Mikey. When I first heard this story, I was like, look, this lawsuit will never see the light of day in court because part of the discovery process for you legal egos out there is both sides will have to show their cards. And neither side wants their contracts to be seen in public because once you go to court, then guess what? Those contracts for both sides are open to everybody to see. And Scarlett Johansson doesn't want the world to see how much she actually makes, because then they're going to say there's two sides of the coin. You got paid a ton of money. You don't deserve more. Or, hey, you deserve everything you get. And the other side will be Disney doesn't want other people that are actors for them to see what her contract is also. Yep. You know what I mean? It doesn't behoove anybody. And I guarantee you this stuff probably happens in Hollywood more times than you think. And for you comic book heads, Mikey and I think we were talking about this on smallscreen.co. Make sure you check out smallscreen.co. But he asked us about the $5,000 fee that Marvel creators are getting for their films, right? Because that's been the recent news, and like everything, that article was totally black or white. There wasn't any gray area. And the gray area I talk about famously is Jim Starlin. Jim Starlin made a stink of this back in 2017 that he thought he wasn't getting paid enough because Thanos was the major baddie. He went all over the interwebs, was talking about it. You didn't hear a peep out of him after 2018. You know why? Smartly, he renegotiated his contract. And unfortunately, I think a lot of these comic creators don't know that, look, renegotiate your contract, because a lot of these contracts are so old, they don't, they never ever thunk there would be a Disney Plus, let alone a show or even movies. Ed Brubaker, he wasn't he got lost in the shuffle, wasn't invited to the Winter Soldier premiere, but then he eventually got in. But the key here is, in Hollywood, get yourself a good lawyer so you can, or if you're a comic, and unfortunately, I don't think comic book creators are savvy, the older ones. The new ones, right? No, they know now. They make comics, and guess what? These comics get optioned even before they're released. And and there's there's gonna be, I showed the guys this. The comic is coming out in September, and guess what? It's already been greenlit for a TV show. It's a small book. I forgot what it was. Justin, if you're in the live chat, or Otto, what's that book that I showed you guys in the private chat? Talk about it. It was a book. I go, oh, this just got optioned. I go, that's funny. I never even heard of it. And sure enough, the book doesn't even come out till September. So I think new comic book creators are more savvy with Hollywood, and but I'm in, I fully agree. 5,000, if the movie gets made, they should get some type of either flat rate, or if you're really smart, like here's where some of the smart comic book creators, and I don't like to call them smart, Brian Michael Bendis, he purposely made his contracts knowing full well that he was going to get deals like Naomi and Jessica Jones and these other the Netflix properties that had Bendis's run. That was in it. And Bendis has never complained about ever getting paid in his life. So
he's got some good chunk of change there.
Oh, yeah.
By the way, we have a cannonball.
Oh, boys. You know what? I am not drinking today, boys and girls. I've been at the pool all day long sipping on stuff. I'm rather dehydrated. But if you're playing along at home, feel free to take a shot for the first cannonball of the night.
Ladies and gentlemen, can I please have your attention? I've just been handed an urgent and horrifying news story. And I need all of you to stop what you're doing and listen. Cannonball!
There you go, cannonball. Here, I take a celebrate. It's just think of this as full of beer or something.
Well, I'm reminded of what Kiva was saying with the 5,000 that apparently some creators were getting. reminded me that we dropped the story of Jim Shooter today, and there's more. If you haven't read it, on geekositymag.com. What happened was Secret Wars, which I've been scooping for 2 years now. Shooter basically confirmed it that it's going to happen as a movie. So what happened was this low-level Marvel executive went to him and said, "Hey, we want to have you write a Secret Wars novelization," which is really bizarre. Like, where did that come from? When does Marvel do novelizations of its
Yeah, for
own
those,
material?
I mean, let's elaborate for those in the live chat who may not know what a novelization is. Star Wars famously does novelizations. Basically,
Yeah.
it's a regular novel book of something.
Of a
right?
movie, yeah, exactly. And of course, he had written the original Secret Wars, and he was really puzzled by the offer. And when he got the contract, there was 2 contracts he got. One was a humongous draconian binder of legal paperwork. It had nothing to do with the novel, nothing. And the actual novel contract was 2 pages. And Jim Shooter was the editor-in-chief at Marvel Comics. This guy knows everything, okay? So he's like, "What is this?" And I guess just go ahead and sign it. Just go ahead and sign it. And it was bait and switch. They wanted him to sign the work for hire, and they didn't care about the whole novel thing. But he turned it down. He would have signed the work for hire anyway because he's a company man. He knows. But he was really offended. He was like, "Why are you having me sign a work for hire when I signed one back in '84 already? I know how this works." But he was so turned off by their method of trying to sneak him into it, right? The guy was trying to trick him. He goes, "You're trying to con me." And so the novelization thing was, there's probably no novelization whatsoever. They just wanted to get him to sign the other deal. So he turned that down. Shortly thereafter, one of the big Marvel executives actually contacted him, apologized for the other guy, and he goes, "Listen, I just want you to sign this work for hire." And he's like, "Okay, but I don't really need to sign this." He goes, "No, sign it, and I'll give you 10 grand. 10 grand if you sign this." And what it is a list of characters from Secret Wars that he either co-created or he put into the story, and they're trying to clear all the bases. Disney is very they're kind of sick of all these lawsuits going around. They don't want us biting them in the ass when Secret Wars comes out. And so he gladly signed it, no big deal, because he knew it was work for hire back in '84. He knew these are not my characters. So
Yeah.
And so he's like, why are you making me sign this? Is there a movie coming out? He goes, "Oh, I can't talk about it. I can't answer your question." He goes, "You just did."
So it was a low-level Marvel guy who was trying to get sign off, but did he get marching orders from up high, or did he just do it on his own?
Well, the method, the way that the low person did it was really scuzzy. I mean, it wasn't what he was told to do. I think the low-level guy probably thought that Jim Shooter was going to turn him down to work for hire. He was editor-in-chief at Marvel Comics.
Exactly. I mean, if you think about the size of, like, just Endgame, right, and the amount of characters in there, I mean, and then you have to factor in you're paying actors and everything who's doing all. I mean, how many creators would you have to pay? 5,000, 10,000, 100,000, and 150,000. I mean, the Gil Kane estate or the Bob Kane estate. I don't know how much money they're getting from Batman. Mm-hmm. Some of these, I mean, it's like it was created so long ago. The medium has changed. A lot of people have passed away.
Yeah.
And the whole work for hire thing is. I mean, you and I were having this conversation offline. And it's interesting because we've talked about this character on the show a lot. When this story came out, the son of the woman who wrote Dakota North actually brought up Dakota North's name on Twitter. And I was like, mind boggled. I was like, wait, what? And he was like saying, because his mother, I forgot her name, something Thomason, that's the only comic she ever did. right? She did 5 issues of Dakota North. And I even came out and asked him, I said, hey, any truth to the rumors Dakota North is coming to the MCU? He goes, there was some talk a while ago, but we haven't heard anything recently. So and so I'll ask you, and this is kind of a spoiler. Why do you think that is about Dakota North, and what is your confidence level about Dakota North? This is my question, by the way. So this is I get to ask any questions I want on my show.
I think what's going to happen here is the same thing they did with Jim Shooter. They're going to give her that amended work for hire, and hopefully she'll just accept it. He wasn't asking for cash. He knew back then when he did these characters that he wasn't going to get any profit participation, and he didn't really care. He was a company man. He was the editor-in-chief. So, but I was mentioning in my article back then, there were no Marvel movies back then. He didn't even think of these things as being $1 billion industry.
Yeah.
No streaming, nothing. But he signed it because he was going to anyway. He went ahead and took a $10,000. It was like, okay, whatever,
Yeah.
But here's the scoop. Here's the cannonball here. He mentioned names that they wanted him to sign off on, and I did some calling just to verify. I knew the black costume Spider-Man is going to be in it, and he mentioned that he can basically confirm the black costume Spider-Man will be in Secret Wars. So if you have that book, keep holding on to it, because the value of that is just going to skyrocket from here on in.
I think we had Titania too on our long-term spec, right?
Yeah, Titania was the one he mentioned.
That's Secret Wars issue number 3, I believe.
But
Titania,
the big one that he did mention, and I had to verify because this was like, whoa, really, was Volcana.
Yeah.
She's going to be in Secret Wars. I can verify that now. That's your cannonball. That's Secret Wars number 3, I believe.
Took us a while to get to that cannonball, but there you go, Volcana, and maybe that's the one I was looking at. The first appearance. First appearance of Volcana is indeed Secret Wars number 3. There you go. So there's some interesting ones in there too. There's like the Spider-Woman character. I mean, it's such a huge story.
Oh,
but
yeah.
If you guys remember, I mean, that's kind of how Mikey and I really showed up on Reddit was the scoop that this is when my channel was taken down, by the way. Yeah. And I went on 3 Men in the Basement and I said, hey, this is a Mikey Sutton exclusive. The next big end game level event was going to be Secret Wars. Yeah. After all that's said and done, and X amount of years, 10 years down the road, it's going to be Secret Wars is going to be the next big thing, and I mean they're laying the foundation for it now. I mean, just like everything else, though, it can't be in a direct adaptation from the comics, right? It's just sometimes things don't work out that way. You have to tweak it a little bit because of the history of the MCU, and unfortunately, the history of the MCU is missing a huge chunk of it because it was missing Spider-Man, the Fantastic Four, the Silver, X-Men. So I mean, so the history of the MCU has to be doing differently going forward because of its already history due to not having all the characters, as opposed to like think about what if speaking of what if, anyway, what if Kevin Feige had the Fantastic Four and Spider-Man when he first did Iron Man? Iron Man wouldn't have been the first movie out of the box.
No,
right? No. It would have been Spider-Man. It would have been Fantastic Four. There would have been some X-Men. You know what I mean? But he did the best of what he did, and look how it turned out. Turned out pretty good. So anyway, thank you for the scoop. So there you go. There's your scoop, man. Volcana and Secret Wars coming soon. You just don't know it yet. Anyway, and also thank you to question Alex Zimmer for the. Anyway, did we ever answer this?
She's gonna continue on.
They're gonna settle out of court. Yeah, they're gonna.
The other thing too, TiVo, is I'm sure that contract will tell people how many movies she has left. I mean, these scoopers will just devour that. Like,
oh yeah, I mean, when these contracts were also written, nobody knew what was going to happen with the pandemic. Right? Nobody knew they'd have to release these films, and nobody knows, and so I think actors, directors, whoever, they're all going to be more savvy because of the pandemic. And when they do these contracts, they're going to be like, look, hey, if you're going to be doing, streaming is such a big thing now. They're going to how much of the, of how many points am I getting on streaming as opposed to merchandising and everything. I think the whole industry has to adjust to this because it's on the fly, because some of those contracts are, kind of dated because, nobody thinks about, hey, I did a movie 20 years ago and all of a sudden it's on Netflix. How much money am I getting for it? You know what I mean? It's like, so there was a Robert Downey Jr. movie with the same guy from it's called like Rough and Tough, James Spader and Robert Downey Jr.
Tough Enough.
Tough, and that is an awful film, by the way, but it's on streaming now, but I wonder if either of them are getting a penny for it. But eventually the studio owns the rights to those, but I don't even think they care if that ever sees the day of light.
Oh my God, I saw that back in the 80s. Holy crap.
Yeah. Thanks for the question, Alex. Next question is from Salvador Villarreal Jr. He is a returning offender. With WB seemingly not doing much with the Justice League on film at the moment, meaning I'm assuming means the big screen, could we see Greg Berlanti take a shot at making Arrow versus Justice League a reality anytime soon? And before you say that, I just want to say I saw Free Guy over yesterday and I absolutely enjoyed such a blast. And guess who the executive producer was on that? Greg Berlanti.
Oh, I didn't know that. Wow.
Yeah, Greg Berlanti's name is in the credits for Free Guy, and Free Guy is a fun film, especially if you're a gamer. You would totally dig it. And there's some MCU cameos in there that will crack you the hell up. It was awesome. But go ahead, I'll let you answer Sal's question.
No. Berlanti tried doing a Justice League on the Arrowverse already. They didn't call them that. They use the term Super Friends at some point. You had Supergirl, you had Green Arrow. Also, you almost had like 1/3 of Justice League Detroit on there. You had Vibe on there. You had Vixen, right? So you had Elongated Man. So you had like most of Justice League Detroit on there.
Elongated Man, no, I don't think he's ever coming back to the.
No, he's not.
Yeah, he's gone. Yeah.
No, they have theatrical. I wouldn't call it plans because they have no idea what they're doing right now. But no, Justice League is still going to happen theatrically, one way or the other.
Yeah, I mean, I think Justice Society has a good chance of happening. And
no, that's definitely happening. Yeah,
with the Rock and all the characters, and I for one, I would love to see a Justice Society of America movie. That would be awesome.
That'd be awesome, man.
They have half the damn characters in there already, and there's a lot of Golden Age and Silver Age characters they can pull from that. Relatively. They can go the obscure character way like Marvel does. They don't, the big three doesn't have to be in everything. It doesn't have to be everything. So I really enjoy the Suicide Squad. I'm really looking forward to what the Black Adam does. And also what was the other film? Not Shazam, but there's another one that was there. Anyway, what's weird is, The Flash. That's the one I'm talking about. The Flash to me seems to be their most ambitious yet. Almost like Into the Multiverse of Madness, and
that's kind of doing the whole multiverse thing simultaneously.
Yeah, the Flash could reboot the DCEU as we know it. You never know, man. So thank you for the question, Sal. Here we go, another returning champion, Chad Crow asks, will Kraven's Last Hunt be fighting Venom?
No.
There you go. Last we heard, I'm. Maybe you can confirm or deny this, that Feige really wants Kraven as part of a Spider-Man story.
Yeah, he does. And right now, it's just like it's Sony's game right now. We'll see if that changes or not. I mean, the whole thing with the variants, TiVo, I mean, you can have two different Kravens. So that's the thing. It gives them that flexibility. But Sony really needs cash, and they're not gonna wait for Kevin's plans.
You can't do Kraven without Spider-Man. The entire story hinges on Kraven pretending to be Spider-Man. People, stop it! I don't give a fuck about Kraven fighting Venom. Kraven's Last Hunt is literally Kraven pretending to be Spider-Man. That's literally the story. So we shall see with Venom. By the way, Venom got pushed back 3 weeks, so there you go. That's so we got a trailer, which excited everybody, and then they got delayed. So hopefully we'll get to see it. But
what does 3 weeks do? You know what I mean? They're kind of just like throwing it out randomly there, right?
Yeah. Were you surprised as I am at how much they showed in the first trailer? Like almost the entire film. Like we got full frontal carnage actually.
I know. Seriously, like, wow, you just might as well give away the whole film, right?
Yeah, not even a tease. It was like, here's carnage. There you go. So it was pretty interesting, man. You know what's interesting? It's like, what the hell happened to Morbius? We saw one Morbius teaser and nothing since. And Morbius comes out. I guess Morbius comes out after Venom or before Venom.
I thought it was before. Wasn't it before?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's
the release dates nowadays don't kind of lost.
Yeah, because I swore Venom has an October 2021 release date, or is it 2022? Let me look right here. This is why we go live, boys and girls. Let There Be Carnage. Yeah, so Let There Be Carnage. Venom Let There Be Carnage has a release date of October 2021, yet we saw the Morbius trailer before we saw the Venom trailer. Oh my God, Sony, you're killing me. Stop it. Oh, jeez. This makes no sense. All right. Thank you for the question, Chad. All right. Next question is from James Sockheld. Sorry if I butchered that name. I know this is a long shot to ask. Is there any talk at all about Gina Carano coming back to Disney?
That's a long shot.
Yeah, that bridge is burned. And,
I think it's burned. I think that one's definitely burned, yeah.
She's got a new movie coming out, and I think from some production company by that talk show guy, that kind of weird guy. So she's hitched full on to that movement, and I mean, there's so much other stuff that's going on with Star Wars now. Gina Carano's character is relatively, small compared to when you hear about Sabine Wren that's coming, all these characters with a history in the animated series and in the comics. So, pay attention to that. I think the latest news, I think it was confirmation of one of your scoops on our channel was Sabine Wren live action. Sabine Wren is going to be cast for the upcoming Ashoka series.
Yeah, that's one of our oldest scoops from years ago. It's finally, it takes a while. We're just,
it takes a
time
while.
machine. What can I say?
That's why they're called long-term specs, guys. So when we told you to buy Heir to the Empire, you could have bought it for $10, $15. Now it's an expensive book. And same with that Kanan book.
Yeah, that we scooped that years ago. Yeah, but you guys are waiting for a trailer. Well, go ahead, pay the big bucks for 9.8 after that.
I think the collecting space now is much more different also when we were dropping these back in 2018, 2019. Really right after the pandemic, I mean, and especially with the influx of collectors coming from other worlds of like trading cards, video games, the NFT people, the people who buy the stock guys who are buying AMC and buying all the GameStop stock. All that money is coming. Comics is just huge now. So thanks for the question, James. Next question is from Orgo from a month ago. Wow, look at that. See, you ask a question anyway. Sometimes we'll get to it a month later. But this is how you can tell it's so old. He's like, speaking of Stingray being part of Mercs Over Money, any chance we'll get a story in the future Deadpool franchise? Hopefully even with Stingray keeping his undercover role.
I haven't heard anything. I mean, Stingray is on the list of characters that they eventually plan on using.
We had it on our Name More Long-Term Spec list.
Yeah. Not sure if he'll be a part of Deadpool. They're still really putting that together right now. So they're working on the script for Deadpool 3. So everything is really vague at this point. Except for Ryan Reynolds, really, because he's one who's creatively pretty much in charge of that whole franchise. Yeah. Foggy's going to come and make sure everything is consistent, but it's Ryan Reynolds' show pretty much.
Yeah, I was reading some articles that, Feige's actually in favor of R-rated projects such as Deadpool, and some of the other folks at Disney are not in favor of it, So, we'll see. But I think Feige has some pull. I think people know what he's doing. I don't know if they feel the same way about Chapek, because one of the more recent articles I heard also is a guy named Peter Rice is heading up the head of Disney animation and streaming. So basically he's the head of the Disney Plus side. So we'll see. And it's been a successful run for Marvel Disney streaming, if you think about it. From WandaVision to Falcon and Winter Soldier to the fuck did I miss? I just missed one. WandaVision, Falcon and Winter Soldier, and what did I just miss? There was like 3 shows that I missed.
Loki. There's Loki.
Loki, I'm sorry. How can I miss Loki? And then What If? I mean, they've been killing it. So.
Oh, yeah. What If is amazing.
Yeah, there's been rumors that there's going to be more shows that haven't been untitled that have been announced yet. And guess what? We have long-term spec lists for both of those. So it's a perfect segue. As soon as he asks this one more question here, because he can't escape this guy ever. This is from 2 months ago. General Putis asks, is David Zaslav, the CEO of Discovery, in favor of more Zack Snyder DC stuff?
Yes, he is. And I don't mean this as in, he's such a big fan or anything. Zaslav, I call him Lava Man. I keep forgetting how to pronounce his last name. He's a total money guy. I mean, if he sees money being left on a table, he takes it off the table. I mean, he's seeing any way he can to exploit the IP, he'll do it. And he's got no bias against Snyder. There's no history there that Walter Hamada has or any of those guys has. If he sees money in something, he's like, I don't care what you think, I'm going to do it. You know?
I mean, Zack Snyder said some pretty crazy stuff too. I mean, even in Jest, where he's like, he's been a Stephen Colbert where he's like, suck at Warner Brothers, and then he's going more into the Netflix stuff. So we shall see. But like I can also see like if The Flash is a smashing success, Black Adam is a smashing success, and all this. I mean, I don't know, like the whole thing about the Ayers cut. I mean, to me, that's like it's like a dead horse to me. It's like, the movie is so far gone. I understand the director and certain people want it, but even if a music video company edited the movie, I mean, even the guts of that film, to me, the story was not good. I mean, you know what I mean? I don't care if you edit it away, you would have to film so much of it. I mean, if there is an Ayers cut, even, which is funny, when the movie first came out and amidst all the Snyder cut stuff, David Ayers said, no, this is my vision. But now he's saying, no, I have a cut. But how much of that cut does he have, and how much? And that film was so old, it's like, how does he get those actors back? You know what I mean? He said he'd have to get Will Smith back, and he'd have to get Margot Robbie back. All these different things. Do you think Margot Robbie's done with Harley Quinn, or do you think there's another Harley Quinn movie
she's
on the horizon?
not. She's okay. I'll tell you this much. She's very unhappy with the way that her last 2 Harley Quinn films were marketed. She feels that Birds of Prey and the Suicide Squad were both poorly marketed. I have to agree with her on that as well. The Suicide Squad was really promoted to James Gunn fans, and here's the issue I have with marketing sometimes, or with filmmaking in general. You can't make movies just for the fans. You can't just like, hey, I want to make this film for a Twitter buzz. Twitter is not the world. One of the reasons why the MCU films are so popular is because they get to the general public. It gets them interested in obscure characters. And a lot of that is marketing. And, they have a brand. See, when you connect the universe, right? People who've never heard of Guardians will see it because it's in the same universe as Iron Man, same universe as Avengers. Like, the biggest buzz I'm getting now for movies is Eternals. This comic book property couldn't even hold its own title. Jack Kirby wrote and it got canceled, right?
The Jack Kirby run was not good. I know people think Kirby is king, but
the art was great.
He was the artist and writer on the Eternals. The first,
writing was suspect.
Yeah, exactly. So sometimes artists, they're great artists, but let's not keep them writing. So So there you go, boys and girls. That was only an hour that it took us to answer those questions here. But let's get to this is the fun part of the show, boys and girls. Get out your pen and paper. Mikey gave me some long-term spec lists. As usual, the disclaimer is, hey, things are subject to change, as always. But if you notice, I finally put the asterisk in the characters' names. And Mikey, can you explain what the asterisk means when you get these lists?
Yeah, basically, asterisk is a red mark on my list, and it's telling you that most likely this character will be used.
All right.
It's almost a sure thing. I mean, it's
All
like
right.
80-90% there. So
All right. So the first list of characters is for a Werewolf by Night Disney
Yeah.
Plus series, right? What are you hearing about this Werewolf by Night series?
it's really interesting because this was initially for Hulu.
Exactly. Yeah.
But apparently, it's not for two reasons. Number one, the budget is going to cost quite a bit of money for the werewolf special effects for this show. So that's the first thing. And the second part's a cannonball again, TiVo.
Oh boy. All right, everybody at home, take a shot. It's about that time.
Ladies and gentlemen, can I please have your attention? I've just been handed an urgent and horrifying news story. And I need all of you to stop what you're doing and listen. Cannonball!
All right, the floor is yours.
Yeah, so recently they had the president of Hulu talking about how they, expect to have Marvel content on the channel. I did some digging, and I'm told that they are going to have Marvel, more and more like real MCU content on there exclusively, but you're going to have to wait until about 2023 or so, which is when Disney will fully own Hulu. Because they don't fully own Hulu right now. I believe Comcast owns a small percentage of Hulu at the moment. Yeah. And so you're going to get the bigger budget shows on Hulu, and those will be the adult oriented ones. This is where Kevin Feige will go R-rated. So
Hulu is really upped up their game. Yeah. I've watched some really good documentaries on there. There's some good shows on there. Season 2 of the Wu-Tang's biopic is on there, which is a great series.
Awesome! I gotta see that.
It's a scripted history of the Wu-Tang Clan. The first season they were kind of building up all the characters, but then the second season it drops in September and they go full on Wu-Tang. But it's Hulu, the interface, everything is getting better. But because before it was kind of like, the Runaways is on there, or maybe Cloak and Dagger, but So there you go. Full on Marvel Hulu, because I think Hulu is, I think ABC and Hulu are both like, give us some of these Marvel crumbs. And I think
they're all asking for it. Disney Plus priority. So Werewolf by Night will be on Disney Plus.
There you go. So Werewolf by Night will be on Disney Plus. And the first character we have on the long-term spec list, a character that has been researched and most probably will appear, because it has an asterisk next to it, is your friend and my friend, Deprave, a.k.a. Winston Redditch. First appearance, Werewolf by Night, number 24. Basically, he's a Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde type character who had discovered the chemical formula that could either suppress or enhance man's natural aggression. He wanted to become a hero, but eventually he just became a baddie and was a protagonist for Werewolf by Night. So it's Deprave, spelled a little bit different. It's Deprave, a.k.a. Dr. Winston Redditch. Who would have had Werewolf by Night number 24 on their 2021 bingo card? But Werewolf by Night is an obscure character, so it only, you're gonna see some more obscure characters on here. All right, who do you got next up?
I've never heard this character before, but that sounds like a Werewolf by Night type character, right?
Yeah. All right. Who's next up on the list that you're hearing, Mikey? I'll let you introduce the character, and I'll try to give as much bio as I can.
I really like this character, the Enforcer. Is next on the list.
All right. Yeah, his name is the Enforcer, a.k.a. Charles Delasny Jr. He was an enforcer with a criminal history, an assassin for hire. Operating mainly on the west coast of the United States as a villain, the Enforcer fought Spider-Man, Spider-Woman, Ghost Rider, and Werewolf by Night. Checks off all the boxes of what MCU is doing, so perfect. If you haven't seen it, it's kind of interesting. He kind of looks like the Vigilante. V for Vendetta. You see him right there. He's the little guy in the character. He's got the word the word bubble right ahead of him. So you're just another victim to me, punk. That's the Enforcer. If you can see him there, he's kind of like a white mask. Kind of looks like a Jabberwocky, or I was gonna say V for Vendetta kind of look. Next, I'll let you introduce this next one.
Pay attention to who this character is linked to, Spider-Woman. We've been talking about her for a while now. Yeah, these connections are not coincidental. So
Yeah.
yeah, Ghost
All right.
Rider. So
I'll let you introduce this next one because, man, I couldn't find anything on about them.
yeah, the Night Patrol. Yeah, just like, huh?
I if you search First Prince of Night Patrol, it actually brings up a Malibu comic called Freaks. You really have to dig deep to find out that Night Patrol is, I believe, in Captain America 402, and prior to that, there was maybe mention of it in a Doctor Strange Sorcerer Supreme Annual #2. Night Patrol is basically a team of werewolves, and that's why he appears here, and that's why you see Captain America with a werewolf on the cover. And Night Patrol is so in the story, there's an evil doctor, as they always are, that somehow gets the blood or DNA from Werewolf by Night, Jack Russell, and creates a team of bad werewolves. So there you go. You have the Night Patrol. That would be cool.
That sounds kind of cool, right? I mean,
yeah. Why not? Yeah, have a team of werewolves and call themselves Night Patrol. I mean, there's so many names of it. I mean, that's why I'll give you guys the names, and if I have the wrong comic, hey, I got the wrong comic. But the important thing is that you know that these characters are being researched. So if you could find, other iterations of it, go for it. I'm just trying to. I give you the names, and I try my best to do it with the comics. So please don't, go in the comments and after the video post and tell me I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. But you try doing this for a living. Well, I don't do it for a living. Try doing it for fun. Shit, it's hard. Okay.
Group of werewolves. Look at me. I guess that's a pricey special effects right there.
Yeah, if you think about rendering CGI for animals
Oh my God.
on CG is difficult, especially animals with fur, right? If you could do, that's why you always CGI snakes, scales, easy, but fur and hair, I mean, that's kind of hard to do, especially werewolf movies.
Yeah.
If you remember one of the all-time classics, the American Werewolf from London, right?
Oh, yeah.
And that was all practical effects, if you think about it. And
Yeah.
one of my favorite
Incredible
films
effects.
also is The Werewolf with Benicio del Toro. I thought that is a fantastic film from Universal.
Mm-hmm.
That one is great. I mean, that should have been one of the cornerstones of Universal's monster universe that they were building, but that never really got off the ground. But to me, that was a great werewolf film.
Yeah, they had some potential there with that franchise.
All right. Speaking of which, what do we got next? Okay, this one. All right. I'll let you introduce the character, and I'll tell you guys why I chose this comic. Who is gonna appear on the Werewolf by Night series now?
The Count himself, Dracula.
All right, so we all know Tomb of Dracula #1 is typically the first appearance of Dracula in the 616, and that book is pretty expensive.
Yeah.
So I dug a little bit, and I found out that this actually is the first appearance of Dracula. It's
wow.
a book called Suspense #7. It's an older book, but you may be able to find it cheap. If you look right in the cover, you see the second panel down, Dracula lives. There you go. So for those who want to play with different appearances, you may find this cheaper. It's not really, I mean, it is an old book, but just because it's old doesn't mean it's expensive. But if you're looking for this and just, you see it for, 5, 10, 20, $50 and good grade 50, it's called Suspense #7. And it's the first appearance of Dracula according to certain corners of Marvel. The market always says Tomb of Dracula #1. There's also some Dracula magazines that feature that also can claim first appearance of Dracula. But I just went with this one because Tomb of Dracula #1 we talked about ad nauseum. But if you see this one, grab this one. It says Dracula Lives right on the cover, and it came out in 1961
Yeah,
from
that's
Marvel.
classic. Yeah, I'll just bring an old horror book by itself.
That's right. Yeah. So Dracula, of course, you got to have Dracula if you're going to be doing Werewolf from Life. All right, who do we got next? This one's interesting.
Yeah, I love the name of this group here, the Hellbent. Yeah, how cool does that sound?
Yeah, the Hellbent. First appearance is Mark Spector, Moon Knight, volume #1, number 49. Look at the cover right there. The Hellbent are a result of the intermingling of the remains of the elder races with early man during prehistory. With those remnants still shared when those remnants still shared Earth with early man. So there you go. Now I see the connection between Werewolf and Moon Knight.
That's cool.
The whole thing about the devil, or Moon Knight and werewolves, and the whole thing about transforming during the moon. It's all connected, boys and girls. But that's a really dope cover. But this, by the way, this is the first appearance, so that's why I know like a lot of these. So it doesn't have an asterisk, but I know that it's not some made up random list that somebody just found on Reddit and gave to you. This is Mikey's Marvel Insiders saying, "Hey, I just got this list. I don't know who the hell these people are." And then he gave it to me, and I'm like, "I don't know who these people are. Let me go research."
This is deep, yeah. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, there are so many Spec shows now, TiVo, ever since we started doing this, and everybody's like doing their own. But this is the only one based on real insider info, people. So.
This is stuff that Mikey gets from somebody at Marvel, and not necessarily the person from Marvel works directly for Kevin Feige. It can be somebody who's not that well versed in comics. That's why when we get these, we kind of have to like sift through and figure out what and kind of play tic-tac-toe, and some of these scoopers also, all they do is tic-tac-toe because they have a subscription to Production Weekly, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if you know about comic books and you see Production Weekly, if you subscribe to it, or if you have the casting notes as well, because I believe you can get those if you pay for it. Guess what? You are now a professional scooper on Twitter. That user in production grids.
Yeah, they give you a description on you. They're like, "Hey, what does this remind me of?"
Yeah, exactly. And then then they even charge you a Patreon for that, which was really mind-boggling to me. Why pay that Patreon? Just go subscribe to Production Weekly. And you get the same stuff.
Give it live right there.
All right. So the Hellbent from Moon Knight number 49.
That's cool. They have a connection with Moon Knight and Werewolf by Night. That's some deep digging there. With Marvel Studios, man.
That's all you say. That's why I coined the phrase: keep digging in those long boxes.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't want to toot my own horn, but I started saying that back in 2015, and I don't know if the comic book world really said digging for comics back then, because I come from the world of DJing, and the term digging came from digging in record crates. Literally, when in the 80s and 90s, I used to go digging. We used to go into old record stores to look for breaks, and it was called digging in crates. And so I kind of said, yeah, you know what? Digging in long boxes is the same thing. So I said, hey, let's go digging for comics as opposed to digging for records. So
yeah, I was a crate digger myself, so I know all about that.
Yeah, if you guys know, crate digging has been around for a while, man. People go into dusty old, like used vintage record stores to find like that really cool old jazz record or some Afro-Rican like beats that they could use to sample. I mean, most hip-hop producers are into crate digging. Nowadays, it's a lost art. Nobody does it anymore because everything sounds the same because they use Pro Tools. They don't sample anymore because they're too cheap. They don't want to pay for any of the samples. So there you go. All right, that was one of the most obscure ones on there, but we're not done.
Yeah, speaking of obscure, like Roderick Krupp. I mean, what the hell?
So all I got was the name Roderick Krupp. But if you do a little searching, Roderick Krupp is actually the Digger, who is actually like a zombie character, and his first appearance is in Tower of Shadows number 1. That is just a cool book. I
have this book. I had no idea. I mean, I've had it years and years ago.
Yeah, so that tells me that this character is gonna, show up as Roderick Krupp first, and then eventually become, the Digger because in Tower of Shadows he's actually known as the Digger. But how often do you see this book? You rarely ever see this book.
Well, I saw it once and I bought it, but I just
I buy any Bronze Age books, number 1 issues. I always buy it. Just got it, pure nostalgia.
Especially horror, you know what I mean?
Exactly. So Roderick Krupp, and it has an asterisk on it, meaning he has a higher priority, so he'll probably show up. All right. Speaking of Spider-Woman, who's next on the list?
Man, that's deep, man. You use like Tower of Shadows to springboard into the MCU. That's a trip.
Yeah.
This sounds like a TiVo type of character to me. Magnus the Sorcerer.
That's right. I've been on this book for a long time now because it's the first appearance of Magnus the Sorcerer is in Spider-Woman number 2. Also, the first modern day appearance of Morgan Le Fay, whose first comic book appearance was actually in the Silver or Golden Age Black Knight number 1, which wasn't a true Marvel comic. It was an Atlas comic at the time.
Yeah.
So there was another, for those who want to debate me on this, come at me, bro. Because Morgan Le Fay even shows up later in a Submariner book, but she doesn't appear. She possesses the body of somebody in present tense. Spider-Woman #2, she actually appears as herself, Morgan Le Fay, the sorceress. And I started buying this book because when Morgan Le Fay was in the last season of Runaways.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there you go. So if you can tell, Magic Sorcerer is also from that same era. I mean, if you read the word bubbles right there, you think your powers are deadly. Feel the awesome might of Excalibur. How cool is that? And I'm pretty sure that's Merlin the Wizard right there, and Spider-Woman. So that's just a dope issue right there. So
I just realized I have this book as well. I have number 1 through 10 of Spider-Woman, so I guess I have this as well.
Because
I started first Morgan Le Fay. That's crazy.
Yeah, I started researching Morgan Le Fay or Morgan Le Fay when she was announced to be in Runaways, and I found out that she's kind of been around, but mostly the Black Knight #1. I mean, which is a really, really expensive book already, especially after Marvel announced it. But that wasn't a true Marvel book yet. I do believe that was still under Atlas Comics, I want to say. And then I've realized this is the first time she appeared in present day, modern time, because the only other time was a Silver Age appearance in Namor where they invoked her name and she possessed a woman, but it wasn't truly her. So there you go. You learn something every day, boys and girls. All right, what's the next one? This one's been on our list for a while now.
It's a very familiar name. She showed up on our list before, Jennifer Kale.
That's right. First appearance is Fear or Adventure into Fear, number 11. With the Man-Thing on the cover. Jennifer Kale is another magic user in the MCU. She's also has ties to the Legion of Monsters. She has ties to the Midnight Suns. If you see her name appear, this name has appeared on our list at least 2 or 3 times now. She's coming. There's no doubt about it. Jennifer Kale, Elsa Bloodstone, all those characters, the more magic users, the better. So Marvel's dipping deep into those waters of magic users. So I can see her crossing over in the Moon Knight. It looks like Moon Knight is going magical. We all saw that leaked photo of Moon Knight. Looks like they're going full blown Khonshu with the crescent moon and everything. I can't wait to see first trailer for Moon Knight. People are going to lose their shit, hopefully. Because I remember, what was it? I want to say a year ago, there was a video that Oscar Isaac, whatever, release of him doing training for the film, the show, and he was doing some really good martial. He even doing a capoeira kick. I was like, wow, I didn't know he was that athletic, and it was him doing it. That was pretty cool. Yeah,
there's a leaked video of Moon Knight fighting. It's kind of blurry and it's at a distance, so you can't really see what's going on. You see kind of his white costume there, though. So,
do you think his cape is going to be added via CGI?
I think it'll be CGI because
I saw that second picture you posted where it looks like a more tattered, kind of like a horror-esque cape as opposed to Batman's cape. It was very pronounced, and I think they did that real stylistically for a reason to keep the comparisons from Batman and Moon Knight from happening. And I don't know why people keep on comparing Batman and Moon Knight. They're two totally different things.
Oh yeah.
Moon Knight is literally a mystical character. Batman has no mysticism to it all. Originally, Moon Knight's powers were augmented at nighttime when the moon came out. All right? I mean, and then eventually he made him rich, and he had like moon-shaped, like a moon-shaped ship, and instead of like the bat stars, he had his own crescent stars. So, I think that's, for the casual fan, they're like, he's got a cape, he's got a cowl. That's Marvel's Batman. No, that's not Marvel's Batman. I mean, he's kind of psychotic. He's a killer, and he has no qualms about killing people. So,
several personalities.
He was a mercenary. I mean, that's why I'm glad they're going the mystical route with like the Khonshu and everything. Because they recently in the comics they brought that back. Because the last run they did, it was him in a 3-piece suit. It was just kind of him and his kind of craziness. But then, because it made them think that that whole Khonshu thing was just in his head. So now they're more like saying, you know what, this Khonshu was actually, and I came out 3 or 4 months ago where Khonshu actually possessed him and he fought all the Avengers. I forget which issue was, but I mean, that just goes to show you, hey, let's lean into this mysticism way, because now we're opening up these supernatural doors for characters that we can do this kind of stuff. So
and I'm hearing that may have been Khonshu that we saw in that one picture.
That would be dope.
So
I mean, why not? If we're gonna have the
all
Asgardian
out, right?
gods, and now the Egyptian gods. We know Zeus is coming in Thor,
Yeah.
God and Thunder. So why not have Egyptian gods? And they even got an Egyptian director for the Moon
Yeah.
Knight show. So I'm really interesting to see what they do with the Egyptian mythology. Because after, to be honest with you, I mean, it was always Greek mythology was the main thing. The only time Norse mythology really got popular was when they did the Thor comics and obviously the Thor movies, right? But, Norse mythology always plays second fiddle to Greek mythology. And then after that, third fiddle, or third would probably be Egyptian mythology. If you think about all the different Set and all these different gods of Egyptian origin. If you look up Marvel Gods of Pantheon, where they typically have these stories where they show all the gods from different pantheons, and they always show like an Egyptian god, the main god. They always show Norse god, the Greek god, and then even show like the Hindi gods, from India, things of those. It's pretty cool, man. So just look up Gods of Pantheon on Marvel. So all right, so this is the last one. No, this is still for the damn Werewolf by Night series. This one is there. You go. I'll let you have this one. Go. What the hell
God,
is this?
this is really weird. Dr. Glitter Knight.
Yeah, this is a deep dive, boys and girls. Dr. Glitter Knight is actually a protagonist of Werewolf by Night. I mean, he's been fighting him for a while, but the first appearance of Dr. Glitter Knight, which is a really weird name, his first appearance is Werewolf by Night number 27. So there you go, man. If you
Sounds like a cool DJ name, right? I'm Dr. Glitter Knight.
at a strip club, yeah.
At
Dr.
the
Glitter
strip club.
Knight.
Exactly right.
Coming to the stage.
Dr. Glitter Knight.
Coming to the stage, Werewolf by Night. Yeah. Dog by day, Werewolf by Night. So Dr. Glitter Knight, first appearance, Werewolf by Night, number 27. I mean, a lot of these books are hard to find as it is already, but sometimes you get away with finding some of these because everybody gets, Werewolf by Night number, the first appearance of Moon Knight, and they forget about the other ones. Or they get Werewolf by Night number 1 or Marvel Spotlight number 2, which is the first appearance of Werewolf by Night in the comics. So there you go. All right. We still got 2 more here for your Werewolf by Night, and this one is rather interesting. Who we got next?
Yeah, this one has an asterisk next to it.
I forgot to put the asterisk, but it has an asterisk. Trust me. It means that she's coming.
Greer Grant Nelson.
If you don't know who that is, don't be surprised. Grant Greer Nelson is actually Tigra. And Tigra's first appearance as Grant Greer Nelson is in The Cat number 1. She later mutates and becomes Tigra. But this is also the first appearance no, not the first appearance of Hellcat. First appearance of Hellcat is, I think, Avengers number 144. But Grant Greer Nelson is, I know the name throws you off and you think it's a man. It's actually a woman. She actually becomes Tigra. But before that, she was just Grant Greer Nelson. There you go. So eventually she will evolve to become Tigra. So that tells you that maybe, Tigra's down the road, but they don't want to introduce everything at once. I mean, it's because, let's say this follows the Marvel mold of, 45 to 50 minute, an hour episode. So right now they're doing 6 episodes to 8 episodes per season. So, you have to fill it in somewhere. So, and I think What If is 8 episodes, right?
Yeah.
Which is a shame since they're only 30 minutes long, but at the end of the show, I'll let you tell people what your thoughts are because you've seen the first 3 episodes, right?
Yeah, but Marvel Studios surprised me last week.
Lucky. So Mikey will give you his non-spoiler thoughts because I don't think he can give you spoiler thoughts.
Yeah.
All right, last one for the Werewolf by Night Disney Plus show is.
If you're familiar with Jennifer Kale, where Jennifer Kale goes, Man-Thing will follow. So.
Sorry, boys and girls. There's no cheap book I can find for you. First appearance of Man-Thing is the magazine Savage Tales number 1, featuring Conan and an awesome little cover there. Definitely does. If you notice, the code isn't on there, and that's how Marvel got around the Comics Code Authority, because they did black and white magazines, and that's how they got around the Comics Code Authority. Eventually, they just outdid the Comic Code Authority altogether. But if you think about the magazines that Marvel did back then, like Dracula Lives, Savage Tales, Deadly Hands of Kung Fu, all these different books, they can get away with the code. And if you look at them, there's a lot of adult stuff going on there. Sometimes there's just reprints, but there's a lot of original stories too, especially in the Shang-Chi ones, the Deadly Hands of Kung Fu. So there you go, boys and girls. That's your list for the Werewolf by Night.
Yeah, I just want to add that this book has always been expensive. Like, back in '82, I was trying to track this book down, and it was pricey because the Conan the Barbarian aspect of it was why it was pricey. And never been a cheap book. So it's hard to find too. So
It's hard to find in high grade as well. I've come across one, and they wanted a little bit too much for it when I wanted it, and I was like, and then now I'm kicking myself in the butt because I think Man-Thing could be huge for Marvel. I mean, think about
he
Swamp
will be.
Thing, And we did a whole thing on the old show on the Old Lords channel where Otto and I talked about how Man-Thing and Swamp Thing were almost the two creators were basically living together at the time for Marvel and DC, and they were throwing ideas back and forth. And Len Wein and whomever else who created Swamp Thing, I keep on forgetting.
Did Ray Thomas create Man-Thing?
And because on the cover of the House of Secrets issue is Louise Simonson. That's her. They were all young, living in New York at the time, partying and up, doing whatever, and they decided to use Louise Simonson as the female that was on the House of Secrets cover for the first appearance of Swamp Thing. So there you go.
Wow.
All right, so these next ones, they're going to go by relatively quickly because there's some big comics on here. So, but we'll get to the first one. This is for the Echo Disney Plus series. If you don't know, that's Maya Lopez. She's already been cast for Hawkeye. She's of Native American and Latina descent. She's also the first, I do believe, deaf character that was created for the MCU, and they got a deaf actress to play her as well, so that's really cool. And the first character we've talked about on this show for a long time now, when we talked about the Old West was coming and these different types of characters. Who is going to appear on the Echo series?
Yeah, Red Wolf, and it's funny because this is like in plain sight, really. If you think of Echo being Native American, I mean, where else is he going to make his debut? Yeah, it's Red Wolf.
So there are multiple iterations of it. The Tall Trees, I'm going by their last name, by the way. I think it's William Tall Trees and Tim Wakely are their names, but the first Red Wolf has kind of been like a mantle, kind of like that's been handed down from generation to generation. So the first appeared in Avengers number 80 in 1970, and Marvel Spotlight number 1 in 1971, and then as the Thunderhead version in Red Wolf number 7 in 1973, and then a Wild Run version, these are their character names, by the way, Fantastic Four Annual number 25 in 1992, and then it was just redone again, I think 3 or 4 years ago, they rebooted the series, so there's multiple iterations for you to choose from. So I'll just let you run it. Whatever you see and whatever you can afford, go and get it. But it's only obvious. They've been pushing this big for a while now. There was even the modern version of him. He's I think a sheriff on a reservation, or a cop on a reservation, something along those lines. But there's also like an Old West version of him that travels, kind of gets sucked into in modern times. But it's very interesting.
Keep in mind, they're using a modern version of Red Wolf, I heard. So maybe that'll match the comic book, like the most recent version. It could be that way. So keep an eye out on that.
Because it only makes sense. Echo is of Native American descent, why not make make a native character? Red Wolf is one of the biggest ones, and then you got Shaman from the Alpha Flight, which unfortunately he's not on here. But these characters are. Most of these characters, so I'm not even going to bother because they're really expensive. But the Kingpin, Daredevil, and the Hand, if you can afford Amazing Spider-Man 50, go for it. The Hand is, I think, the first appearance is in Daredevil 174, right around there, or 175. And that book was really spec'd on big when the Hand showed up in, I think it was the Iron Fist series he showed up first, right? Or was it Daredevil? I'm trying to think.
It was Daredevil, the Hand was on.
I think Feige really wants to reboot that because the Hand was awful. It was just like a group of like all kinds of people. They weren't even ninjas, right?
Yeah,
they didn't dress the
he
part.
wants the real Hand, the Frank Miller,
Yeah, and also the first appearance of Ronin. Now, there's a couple of iterations of Ronin. So there's the Ronin that's Clint Barton, which it could be, but also Ronin is Echo. She actually starts as Echo and then becomes Ronin, I do believe. So the first appearance of her as a Ronin is Avengers number 7. Now there's this cover also, I think, which is New Avengers number 27, where it's Ronin fighting Elektra when she was the leader of the Hand, which is another one of those things where first meeting of, Echo and the Hand, or Ronin and the Hand. So that's another cool cover to think about when you're thinking about, the Hand and the character Echo. God, I can't wait till we see that. So just think, okay, just remember the Kingpin, Daredevil, the Hand, and Ronin. Now, which version of Ronin? I mean, we already saw Clint Barton as Ronin in Avengers Endgame, right? I mean, so probably not. Maybe he.
Well, I have a cannonball. Do you want?
Oh boy, third cannonball. So take a shot, everybody.
Ladies and gentlemen, can I please have your attention? I've just been handed an urgent and horrifying news story. And I need all of you to stop what you're doing and listen. Cannonball!
Drink up, everybody.
So the person who gave me this list is actually watching you now, TiVo.
Hello, person with the great list of obscure characters.
And texted me and said that Echo becomes Ronin. So there's your book right there. There's your book.
There you go. So there's Maya Lopez first appeared in Daredevil, and then she later on becomes Ronin as well. So look out for that book because the Ronin character is badass. Silent, deadly ninja. And there's a multiple covers if you think about it. Don't get me. I forget which one is which. If this is the Clint Barton version, but eventually she takes over as Ronin after Clint Barton because Clint Barton. So it kind of Marvel following. It's kind of the MCU following the Marvel comics a little bit, and then taking their own turn. You know what I mean? Taking their own turn on it because his comics are so convoluted you can't just adapt them all. It sometimes is just ridiculous, but. That's it, boys and girls. So just know, man, look forward to Echo. Supposedly there's 9 series that are coming into Disney Plus that hasn't been announced yet. Have you heard anything about that? Is that true? Is that an accurate number, or is that somebody's making?
There's more than that, actually. So.
More than that.
Yeah, no, there is a number of shows. They haven't started development yet, but they will begin development.
And what's interesting, they interviewed the showrunner of What If, and he said, you know what, we have more stuff we can do in the animated world. Because here's the thing about animated series, you can do so much more. Because sometimes in live action, you just can't do it. It's just that's why the Peggy Carter, they can make her that powerful. In the movies, it would have been hard to do it live action, right? You know what I mean? To me, like the What If, I'll let you talk about the last 2 episodes before we leave here. But the What If with Peggy Carter was awesome, and people complaining, oh, she took over. No, she said her name was Captain Carter, and she's wearing a Union Jack. That's not Captain America. That's Captain Carter, meaning she works for MI6 or somebody. And she seemed more powerful, but it's animated, so of course the character seemed more powerful. But I also asked you guys to go watch. Captain America, the First Avenger, when Captain America flips his motorcycle into the Hydra building. There's some scenes where Captain America, you're like, well, damn, I didn't know he was that powerful. But, and it's just like the What If comic books. They are very truncated because they don't have time to tell you the entire backstory of what they're about to do. But I loved it. And it was just like in the comics, because I'm a huge What If fan, where Uatu says, at this moment, boom, that's just like the comic where Uatu goes, at this moment, that's when things change. And his ending little monologue where he goes, I do this, and I just watch, for I am the watcher. You know what I mean? It's kind of like really, I thoroughly enjoyed it. People have a problem with the cell shading animation. I loved it. I think it's perfect for it.
The animation is gorgeous.
If you remember, they used this animation in the anime Spider-Man MTV series. That was awful. But I don't think the technology was good enough at the time. And I Googled it, and they actually used 3 different animation studios. The one that did the Peggy Carter episode was Blues something, and they were a French animation company. But apparently, they used 3 different animation studios for the entire season. So I don't know if you can disclose what the titles are for the 2 other episodes you saw, but
okay, I don't have when I got the copies, there's no titles on the shows. But I can tell you what they are, though. I can pretty much guess what the titles are because I'm a What If fan.
All right, so what's the next one that we're
going to see Wednesday? The next one is probably called What If T'Challa Became Star-Lord? Okay?
Yeah, I think we all
that's a whole plot right there. What I love about it, this is the best of the 3, in my opinion. Chadwick Boseman, hearing his voice again will really move you.
Yeah.
But what I love about his performance is that he combines the swagger of T'Challa and then the kind of the royal gravitas of the character, but
Yeah.
he matches it with Star-Lord's cockiness, and you see both personalities in there. The difference is, there's really a hilarious part, is that the Ravagers and Yandu, they kidnapped the wrong kid. They kidnapped T'Challa.
Oh, so that's the story, the premise. Okay, yeah, I
And I
guess.
won't tell you what happened. It's just a hilarious reason why they accidentally kidnapped it. It was by accident. But the reasons why are hysterically funny. I will say that. There is Thanos is not. Anyway, you'll love Thanos in here. It's a twist on all the different Guardians characters. There's a surprise character in there. I won't ruin it for you guys. And the episode, TiVo's gonna love this. It ends on one of the best new wave songs of all time, and
What?
it's like this is made for me. Okay, so
Yeah.
but Boseman just you're gonna be very moved by his performance in there. Some great action. The third one, okay, is oh no, I can't. Now, if I tell you a title, it'll ruin the whole thing. So I will say this: it's very similar to the Watchmen, except that the members were being killed before the Watchmen formed, and so
I know what it is, Ian.
so someone is killing the Avengers Initiative, right? And one by one, so they won't form the Avengers. And
There's Emergency Awesome actually talked about the episodes. Yeah,
Okay.
so it's not a spoiler. You can say
Okay.
what it is. Yeah.
But yeah, so yeah.
Well, no, maybe not. Maybe people don't want to get
Yeah.
spoiled, but
Yeah,
it's good.
well, yeah.
It's.
You'll
I mean,
see
it
it.
doesn't spoil the story, but it's out there. So I'll go ahead
Okay,
and say it.
okay.
It's what if the Avengers characters were killed before they formed the Avengers.
Yep,
So
yep.
and I think Emergency Awesome did a video about it. If he did it and they didn't take it down, so apparently Marvel has no issue with it. So basically they killed off what we consider the MCU version of the Avengers were all killed off before they can form the Avengers. And so
Yeah.
and that's not really giving away much because they find other people to take their places. So that's
And
that's
the ending is well, anyway, it's what if. I mean, what I love about the show in the last two episodes, there are a couple of scenes where in the background you see the Watchers like shadow and stuff. Like you have to like pay attention to the screen. Like wait a minute, that's not a cloud. That's the Watcher. Like like you see his little shape behind the clouds and straight out of the comic book.
I seen that graphic
Straight-
that they did.
Yeah,
Yeah.
straight out of the comic books, dude. It's like when you hear
What do you
Jeffrey
think-
Wright's voice, it's like so ethereal sounding. I'm like,
You
Oh my
think
God,
they
yeah.
would ever adapt Original Sin for season 2, where Nick Fury just blows a head, puts a bullet in Uatu's head?
I think I think they're going to save it for live action if they're going to do that.
That would be mind blowing.
because,
Oh my god!
And the way Captain Carter that first episode ended goes right into Doctor Strange, which is where
Yeah. So for those who don't know, they only told us what the people like Mikey who were lucky enough that Marvel gave them the first 3 episodes to preview. Can you talk about that process and what exactly it was like? I mean, it seems very like cloak and dagger, like very
well,
top
yeah,
secret.
I have a secret account with Marvel Studios, and I'm gonna have access to all the Marvel shows, all the Star Wars shows on Disney Plus, like days or weeks ahead of programming, and all this programs are watermarked with my name on it, right? And
So that's why if you leak it,
yeah,
it always
yeah,
back to
deep
you.
shit, man. Yeah. And not only that, but it's like you can't forward your emails to anybody. Like, it's, like you can't give out your password. Like everything is traceable.
And is it? And you have like a X amount of time, right? Like,
Yeah.
like how long do you? There's like it's like a Mission Impossible tape. Remember the
Oh, God, it
Mission
was
Impossible
hilarious.
where you get the message
Yeah.
and this message will self-destruct.
That's exactly what I was thinking. Yeah. So I got the What If Sunday at 9:00. There were 3 episodes, half hour each. I had until midnight to watch them.
Oh
And
my god!
The file was gone.
Oh my God, that is so cool. That is so cool. You lucky man. But anyway, Mikey, put in a good word for me. Tell him I'm a Marvel chill up and down.
Well,
I need to be on the red carpet.
I have a good. Should I say this? I guess it's okay to say this, but
Of course, we're just a close knit of 154 friends talking amongst each other right now.
I have a 24/7 customer service line. Like I can. Yeah, and I'm serious.
For what? For Marvel?
Yeah, and
so what do you do? Like, what do you call them
if
for?
If there's anything I need, if I'm requesting something, there's somebody there 24/7. I know, dude. I'm serious.
All right. Well, in that case, can you ask them for? I would love to be at the Shang-Chi premiere in like 2 or 3 weeks. If you can get that to happen, come on.
Yeah. So there's more things coming.
I tell you what, I don't even need to be the Shang-Chi premiere, but if you can get me an interview with Tony Leung and Simu Liu remotely for the show, I would love to be part of
that's what I'm working on now. So I was like, it took like a month or so before I got a message from them saying, I've been approved.
I can do a remote Zoom meeting with them to do the premiere for Marvel for Shang-Chi. You know, tell them I'm just another Asian brother who wants to support him. Tell them been a fan of Tony Leung since In the Mood for Love by Wong Kar-wai. I mean, my girlfriend.
Oh, that's right, he was in
film.
there. That was a great movie.
Great movie. There's another movie where he's like almost naked throughout the entire film. Tony Leung has been a Hong Kong movie films for. Yeah. She's for a long time, since the early 80s. I mean, some great films too. I mean, and the thing about the Hong Kong films, he's done martial arts films and he's done serious drama and romantic films. And the thing about Hong Kong films is they have their actors trained to fight martial arts so that you don't see stunt doubles. I mean, Jackie Chan obviously is the main one, Donnie Yen, but Tony Leung was in that movie Hero with Jet Li, and he did on his own fight scenes. Michelle Yeoh, who's also in Shang-Chi, did her own fight scenes, and she's been a huge martial artist ever since Wing Chun was a movie she did in Hong Kong.
What about Finn Jones?
Oh my God. There was an article, I think I shared it with you or somebody else, where Benny hilarious. Chan, I think it was Benny Chan, he was the fight choreographer for Iron Fist. And he was like, he goes, Finn Jones wouldn't train. And he goes, that's why all the best fight scenes are what Jessica, what was her name?
Henwick?
Jessica Henwick, who played, what's her name? The female lead in the series, just blank right now. And he goes, that's why the best fights are with her, because he said she trained 4 hours a day, martial arts. And that's why her fight scenes look the best.
She was like, set up those in chat right now. That was our favorite part of the show. Like, if it wasn't for Colleen Wing was a character she played. I wouldn't be watching Iron Fist. I could not sit through that show without her.
Yeah. No, she was, hands down. That's why I was hoping we get the Daughters of the Dragon with Misty Knight and her. That would be so dope, man. But hey, man, I know you're hungry, Mikey, and so am I. I'm starving. It's 6:30. Sorry we didn't get to your question, but thank you guys, all 150 guys, for joining us on a Sunday night. I know Sunday nights you guys are busy doing stuff. And any last words, Mikey?
Oh, yeah, a couple. So next Saturday is the first anniversary of GeekOfTeamMag.com. TiVo's going to join me on Super Team Mag, of course, on small screen. And if TiVo's available next Sunday, I have a surprise LTS. If you're available, we can do like an anniversary.
Anniversary Letters of the Long Box.
There you go.
If we don't answer any letters, we're just going to name it the Long-Term Spec Show.
Should I announce what it's for, or do you want to keep it a surprise, or...
Give them a hint. Just give them a hint so they can tune in.
It's a Disney Plus show in development, and it's how do I describe him? You saw him recently on Disney Plus. You saw him recently, but in a different way. And the other person's not with him; it's just him. That should be pretty easy.
The other person's with him, not him. What show?
And one more thing. Sean Byrne will probably get a royalty check from us.
Oh, all right, boys and girls. Tune in next Sunday, 5 p.m. We got if we don't do letters, it's going to be called the Long-Term Spec Show. Kind of like the late night show. It's going to be Long-Term Spec Show. So for Mikey Sutton and TiVo, I will see you guys Tuesday for the Cover Price Top 10. Till next time, boys and girls. Keep digging in them long boxes and enjoy the rest of your weekend. Peace out.
Now let's do this!
Rewind, select and come again. Pull up that from the top to the very last. Jump.
Who are you to make their lives bitter in hard bondage? In this you shall know that the Lord is...
Oh.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, do it! We're here! We're back!
Yes, do a job.
You can't get fresher than this.
In the great hall of the Justice League, there are assembled the world's 5 greatest heroes. Their mission, to fight injustice, to right that which is wrong, and to serve all mankind.
When it comes, I won't even notice.
Oh, how so?
I'll be too busy looking